1944. The English Channel is a black void. Wind screaming across the waves like a warning no one can quite decipher. High above, over 800 C-47 Skytrains, more than 13,000 American paratroopers sit shoulder to shoulder, knees knocking, glowing like fireflies in the dim red light. They are the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions, boys from Brooklyn, farmers from Iowa, coal miners from Pennsylvania, now packed into aluminum tubes for Nazi-occupied France at 120 miles per hour. Their mission? Drop behind Utah Beach before the first landing craft even touches sand, seize the causeways, blow the bridges the Germans need to rush reinforcements, and hold until the seaborne invasion links up. If they fail, the entire western flank of D-Day collapses. No pressure, just the weight of the free world strapped to their backs in 90-pound jumpsuits. This is the story of the men who fell from the sky and changed history before sunrise. The path to the door. The idea wasn't new. Parachuting troops behind enemy lines tested in North Africa, Sicily, and Italy. But never like this. Never with the fate of an entire continent hanging on where a 19-year-old private from Alabama could assemble his rifle in a cow pasture while the machine gun stitched the night. It started in the mind of one man, General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force. In the spring of 1944, Ike stood in a map room at Southwick House, just north of Portsmouth, staring at a wall-sized chart of Normandy. The beaches were marked in red. The inland roads, thin, raised causeways cutting through flooded were the only way armor could move off the sand. The Germans knew it, flooded the fields behind Utah Beach on purpose, turning the Cottontail Peninsula into a moat, crossable only by 4 narrow causeways, 2 vital bridges over the Douve River and the Murderette. Take those exits, Eisenhower said, tapping the map with a pipe he hadn't lit in hours, or the beachhead dies in its crib. The job fell to Major General Matthew B. Ridgway of the 82nd Airborne and Major General Maxwell D. Taylor of the 101st Airborne. Ridgway, tall, hawk-faced, a West Point tackle turned warrior, had jumped in each hand. Taylor, softer-spoken, Harvard-educated, looked more like a professor than a killer. But both men understood. This wasn't just about dropping troops, it was about dropping chaos. The airborne plan, codenamed Operation Boston for the 101st and Operation Detroit for the 82nd, wasn't to conquer territory, it was to disrupt, confuse, paralyze, make the Germans look left when the real blow came from the sea. Meanwhile, in a dozen airfields across southern places like Merrifield, Exeter, Uppertree, men prepared to die without ever seeing the enemy. Private First Class Ken Russell of the 101st Airborne, 506th PIR, remembered the night like a fever dream. We were issued these cricket toys, little brass clickers. 1 click meant friend, 2 meant stop or I shoot. I kept clicking mine in my pocket just to hear something other than my heart. The clickers were just one part of a frantic, last-minute kit. Each man carried a main shoot and a reserve, a Garand or a Thompson, 160 rounds of ammo, K-rations, a gammon for blowing tanks, a Hawkins mine, morphine Surette, and a sealed packet marked for use only after capture, a silk escape map, a tiny compass, and French francs. They blackened their faces with cocoa powder and burnt cork. Some wrote letters home and gave them to the others, heads into mohawks. So the Germans know we're Indians, one said. The 101st's Colonel Robert Sink walked the line at Upper, slapping shoulders. You're not just paratroopers tonight. You're the cork in the bottle. Pull it, and the whole damn engine drowns. The weather was about to them. Back at Southwick House, Eisenhower's meteorologist, a soft-spoken Scotsman named Group Captain James Stagg, delivered the grim forecast. A storm was rolling in. High winds, low clouds, rain. The invasion, originally for June 5th, might have to be postponed. But every day lost gave the Germans more time to reinforce, more time to finish Rommel's asparagus, spiked with mines, planted in every field, open glider. Eisenhower paced, smoked, stared at the floor. Then, at 9:05 p.m. on 4th, Stagg returned of hope, a brief window, 18 hours of marginal weather starting at dawn on the 6th. After that, storms for days. Ike looked at his commanders, Bradley, Ramsey, Lee Mallory. Then he spoke the words that sealed the fate of millions. Okay, let's go. At airfields across England, engines to life. The sea, nicknamed, were stripped bare. No armor, no self-sealing fuel tanks, just fabric, aluminum, and prayer. Each carried 18 paratroopers, a jump master, and a pilot who'd never flown combat before. Many were barely. Lieutenant Colonel Louis Mendez, commanding 3rd Battalion 508th PIR, 82nd Airborne, of his plane and shouted over the roar, "If you're scared, good. Means you're still alive. Use it." At 23:17, the first planes lifted off from RAF Membry, then Aldermaston, Greenham Common, Saltby, one after another, like a swarm of iron locusts. Inside, the men sang, some others into their targets were precise and unforgiving. The 101st had 4 objectives: causeways 1 and 2 behind U Beach, raised roads the only way off the sand, bridges over the Douve at La Barquette and Pont-l'Abbé to stop German counterattacks, destroy the coastal battery at Martin, secure the lock at La Barquette to control flooding. The 82nd had even touched the town of Sainte-Mère-l'Église, the first French town to be liberated, sitting smack in the middle of the main road. Blow the bridges at Étouville, hold pay for the 101st, the ones at Chef du Pont and La Pierre to trap Germans west of the establish a bridgehead west of the Meurthe River, a flooded swamp crawling with snipers. Pathfinders teams dropped 30 minutes early were supposed to mark drop zones with Eureka beacons and colored lights, but the clouds were thick, the 30 knots, and the Germans had eyes in the sky. Over the channel, the complete radio silence, no lights, no chatter, just the drone of 1,600 engines and the flash of lightning. Below, the fleet, 5,000 ships, turned to Normandy under cover of darkness. Destroyers, battleships, landing craft packed with seasick boys from Omaha, Gold, Juno, Sword. But up here, in the sky, the paratroopers were alone. Sergeant Harrison, 101st, sat chewing a cigar he'd never light. He was from West Virginia, loved fighting. He told the fellas, "If we're gonna die, let's do it on the ground with boots on." At 00, the first Pathfinders jumped over Drop Zone C. Lieutenant Bob Murphy hit the silk at 400 feet. His barely opened before he slammed into a hedgerow. The beacon shattered, the lights lost. He clicked his cricket twice, no answer. Murphy was supposed to guide 200 planes. Instead, full of cows. What happened next shocked both sides. As the main force crossed the coast at 0110, German flak opened up. Tracers arced like fiery snakes. Planes bucked. Men screamed. One C-47 took a direct hit, exploded mid-air. 18 paratroopers gone in a heartbeat. The pilots, green, terrified, scattered. Some climbed to 1,500 feet to avoid fire. Others dove 300. Speed from 90 to 150 knots. The formations broke apart like beads on a snapped string. Private John Steele, 5th PIR, 82nd Airborne, jumped over Sainte-Mère. His chute snagged on the church steeple. He hung there for 2 hours, playing dead, while Germans fired at shadows below. I could hear the bells. Every time the wind blew, they rang, like a funeral. Steele wasn't alone. Men landed in trees, in rivers, in German barracks. One trooper dropped a latrine. Another landed on a greenhouse, glass shattering around him like ice. General James Gavin, assistant commander of the 82nd, jumped with a broken leg from Sicily, still healing. He hit the ground near a stone wall, rifle bent. Immediately started organizing whoever he could find. I had 3 men and a bazooka. That was my division. By 2, the sky was empty. The planes turned back, and 13,100 paratroopers were scattered across 200 square miles of Normandy, many miles from their drop zones. Some landed in the English Channel and drowned under their, others were machine-gunned in their chutes, but thousands more, clicking crickets, whispering flash, and waiting for thunder, began moving through the darkness. Captain Frank Lillyman, the first American to jump into Normandy, a pathfinder with a cigar clenched in his teeth, rallied a dozen men near. He said, "We don't need maps, we need bridges. Let's go steal some." They moved west, toward the causeways, toward the sound of war already beginning, without, least of all the Germans, that the chaos was working. In Berlin, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel was birthday. He'd gone home to convince the Allies wouldn't end in bad weather. His Panzer Group West sat idle, waiting for Hitler's personal release order. In Normandy, General Erich Marx, commanding stared at reports flooding in, paratroopers everywhere, Sainte-Mère-Église burning, bridges attacked, roads blocked. Are they the main or a diversion? No one knew. And that was the point. As the first gray light touched the horizon, the paratroopers, lost, bleeding, furious, began to fight. They didn't have radios. They didn't have maps. Many didn't even have their units, but they had orders, and they had each other. What happened in the next 6 hours, before the first landing craft hit Utah Beach, would decide whether Operation Overlord lived or died. A private from Ohio would take a bridge with a knife. A lieutenant from Texas would hold a causeway with 42 men against a battalion, and a general with a limp would walk into legend. But that's for the next part of the story. 0317, June 6th, 1944. A thin rain needles the hedgerows of Normandy. Somewhere west of Mère-Église, Private Robert Murphy of the 82nd Airborne crawls through a drainage ditch, mud up to his cricket clicking like a dying insect. He's been alone for 2 hours. His leg is broken. His Thompson is jammed with grass, but he can hear boots, German boots, marching on the raised road above. Murphy presses his face into the slime and waits. 1 click, 2 clicks, nothing. Then a whisper. Flash. Thunder. Son of a bitch, Murphy hisses back. A hand reaches down. Sergeant Dan McAlvoy, 505th PIR, hauls. They are in a division of 6,600, but is a start. Part 2. The bridges or the grave. The plan was elegant on paper. The one would secure the 2 western causeways behind Utah Beach, exits 1 and 2, then link up with the 4th Infantry Division when they landed at 06. The 82nd would take the Meredith River crossings at La and DuPont, blow the Douve bridges to the south, and hold Sainte-Mère-Église like a cork. Simple, except nothing was supposed to be. Let's start with causeway number 2, the northern exit. It's a narrow ribbon of asphalt, 100 yards long. The Germans call it der Damm, the dam. To the Americans, it's the difference between life and a beachhead graveyard. Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Cassidy, commanding 1st Battalion 502nd PIR, was supposed to land with 600 men on Drop Zone C. Instead, he has 42. They are scattered across 3 fields, missing half their weapons, and the only map is a blood-soaked SO road atlas from a French farmhouse. Cassidy gathers them behind a stone wall. We take that causeway, or the whole division drowns in the surf. Questions? No one speaks. A private raises his hand. Sir, which way's the causeway? Cassidy points east. Thud of naval guns. Follow the noise. They move at 035, single file. Boot in mud, crickets clicking like Morse code. The rain hides them. The darkness hides everything else. At the same moment, Captain Frank Lilly, the Pathfinder who is first on the ground, links up with Lieutenant Colonel Robert Cole in 502nd PIR. They have 80 men between them. Their objective? 2 wooden bridges over the port, just south of causeway number 1. The Germans have both bridges with machine barbed wire from the 795th Georgian Battalion. Soviet OWs forced into Wehrmacht uniforms. They are tired, hungry, and trigger-happy. Cole's men approach through an orchard. Apple blossoms drift like snow. Bayonets, Cole whispers. Bayonets in 1944? Yes. Ammo is low. Radios are dead. This will be steel and screaming. At 4:10, they charge. Private First Class William Owens, a 20-year-old from Mississippi, first across the open ground. He fires his bar from the hip, walks straight into the MG-42 nest, and empties the magazine. The Georgian gunners die with their hands up. Owens takes a round but keeps walking until he's the bridge. He slaps it on the timber support, pulls the pin, back. The explosion lights the sky orange. 1 bridge down. The second bridge is south. Cole's men are out of grenade, out of time, and is 2 hours away. We take it hand to hand, Cole says. They do. Knife, rifle butts, fists. A German officer tries to surround a paratrooper anyway. By 4:45, both bridges are wired with Cole lights the fuse himself. The Douve erupts in twin fireballs. The river runs black with burning oil. Meanwhile, at Lafayette Manor, The second is learning what bridgehead really means. The manor is on a slight rise overlooking a stone bridge across the Meredith River. The river is 50 yards wide, waist deep, and crawling with snipers. The bridge is the only way to move west and block German armor from the 91st Air Landing Division. Major General James Gavin, 35 years old, jumping with a limp, lands in an apple tree at 0220. His chute rips. He falls 15 feet, sprains and loses his rifle. But he finds Captain Roy Creek, 507th PIR, in a ditch. "We need that bridge," Gavin says. "Sir, we don't even know where we are." Gavin pulls out a silk escape map, squints in the dark. "We're somewhere. Let's make it count." They move at 04. The manor is held by a company from the 1057th Grenadier Regiment. Machine guns in the windows, mortars in the courtyard. Gavin's attack with 2 bazookas and a captured German potato masher. Private First Class Charles de Glopper, a giant from New York, stands up in the open field, fires his bar until the barrel glows red. It's every gun in the manor. He is hit 17 times, keeps firing. The distraction lets Gavin's men flank the courtyard. By 5:15, the manor is theirs. The bridge is intact, but the cost is 30 dead in 400 yards. Glopper will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously. Back at Sainte-Marie-Église, the town square is a slaughterhouse. Private John Steele is still hanging from the church steeple, playing possum. Below, Lieutenant Colonel Edward Krause, 5th PIR, has 108, less than a third of his battalion. They landed in the middle of the 6th Fallschirmjäger Regiment. Rommel's best. The town burns. A hay barn explodes. Germans fire from windows. Americans fire from doorways. Private Ken Russell, the cricket clicker from Part 1, finds a German bicycle, pedals through the square with a Tommy gun across his lap. It's a sniper off a rooftop. Krause plants the American flag on the town hall, the first French town liberated. But the Germans counterattack. 4. Panzers rumble from the north. Krause has no anti-tank guns, only bazookas and guts. Sergeant John Ray loads a rocket, aims at a Panzer IV and fires. The round bounces off. The tank's coaxial MG stones. Ray loads again, fires. This time, the rocket punches through the ring. The Panzer brews up. The counterattack stalls. By 5:30, Sainte-Marie is held by 120 Americans against 1,000 Germans. The road to Utah Beach is open, but the hardest fight is just beginning. Causeway number 1, the south exit, is still in German hands. Major John Stopka, 1st Battalion, 1st PIR, and a captured German half-track. They reach the causeway at 5:45. Dawn is breaking. The marshes glow pink. The Germans' 8mm gun zeroed on the road. The first to cross will be scrap. Stopka's men dig in behind the dike. They have no radios, no artillery, only the sound of the fleet, now visible on the horizon. Hold until the boats hit the beach, Stopka tells them. Then what? A private asks. Then we die or we win. Pick one. At 06:30, the first landing craft touch Utah. Brigadier General Theodore Roosevelt Jr., oldest man on the beach at 56, or with a cane and a pistol. He sees the causeways are open, sees the paratroopers waving from the dikes. He shouts, "We've got our exits!" The 4th Infantry's inland. By 7:01, the bridges are held. The causeways are open. The Meredith is crossed. Sainte-Marie-Église flies the stars and stripes, but the cost is staggering. 07:15, June 6th, 1944. The sky is the color of steel. Over a beach, the first waves of the 4th Infantry Division slog through waist-deep water, rifles held high, eyes locked on the raised causeways where screaming eagles wave them in. Paratroopers, faces blackened, uniforms torn, some barefoot, stand at the dikes like scarecrows who've just won a war. A sergeant from the 101st fires a green flare. The beach troops answer with a red one. Up is complete. The western flank of D-Day breathes, but breathing is not the same as living, and Normandy is about to demand more blood than any map. The bridges are held. The causeways are open. Église is American, but the 1st Air Landing Division is still west of the Mer de Ré, and the Jäger Regiment is regrouping north of. Field Marshal Rommel is already on a train from Germany, furious, barking orders into a field telephone. Crush the beachhead before nightfall. His panzers are coming. and the paratroopers have no tanks, no artillery, and barely any ammunition left. Let's go back to La Fière Bridge, where the fight is about to become legend. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Teams, IR, has 150 men dug in around the manor. The bridge is 120 feet long, stone arches, narrow as a hallway. On the far bank, the Germans mass. 2 companies, mortars, a captured French Renault tank. They want the bridge back. They need it to bring up the 709th Static Division and seal the peninsula. At 0900, the first assault comes. German infantry wade the river, screaming. American bazookas answer. The Renault lumbers forward, swiveling. Private Leonard Peterson, a farm boy from Minnesota, has 1 rocket left. He waits until the tank is on the bridge, 30 yards. The round punches through the engine deck. The Renault brews up, blocking the span. The Germans retreat, leaving 47 dead in the water, but they'll be back, and Teams is out of rockets. South, at Chef Dupont, the bridge is a different kind of hell. Major Teddy Sanford, PIR, has 38 men and a captured MG-42. The bridge here is wooden, 80 feet, swaying over the Mer de Ré. The Germans have blown 1 span already. Too late. Sanford's engineers patch it with doors and prayer. At 10th, a German counterattack hits with 300 men, guns. Sergeant Robert Nyland, older brother of the Nyland boys, later immortalized in fiction, mans a caliber machine gun on the east bank. He fires until the barrel melts. The Stoogs cross the patched span. Nyland grabs a bazooka, stands in the open, and fires point blank. The lead Stoog explodes. The second reverses into the river. Nyland is cut down by shrapnel. He dies with the empty tube in his hands. His brother Edward, same unit, will fall later that day. A third brother, Fritz, is missing in the Pacific. A fourth, Preston, will be pulled from combat to spare the family. The Nylands become the war's cruel footnote. Meanwhile, the 101st sets up a command in a farmhouse that smells of cider and death. General Maxwell Taylor arrives at 0800 with 12 men and a bottle of Calvados he found in a cellar. "Gentlemen," he says, "we are the division headquarters." They laugh because the alternative is to cry. Taylor's radio crackles with fragments. Causeway 1 held. Causeway 2 under fire. Saint-Mère-du-Mont burning. Carentan still in German hands. Carentan is the prize. A market town 10 miles south, sitting at the junction of the and Omaha beachheads. If the hold it, the 2 American armies stay split. If the 101st takes it, Normandy cracks open. Taylor marks the map with a grease pencil. We move at dusk. Rest now, fight later. But rest is not a luxury no one gets. At Causeway number 2, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Cole, the bayonet charge hero from the Douve bridges, has 150 men dug in around the manor. The Germans come with half-track throwers. At 1300, Cole sees the attack forming across the marsh. He has no artillery, no air support. Just a field of fire 600 yards. He fixes bayonets again. They charge. 70 men screaming across open ground into machine gun fire. The Germans break. Cole will earn the Medal of Honor for this. His men will call it the Cole Charge. The causeway holds. By 1500, the beachhead is 3 miles deep. The 4th Infantry links with the 101st at Poopville. Brigadier General Theodore Roosevelt Jr. walks the causeway, cane in hand, in traffic like a Manhattan cop. Keep moving, boys, to their own party. But the cost is mounting. 82nd Airborne, 1,200 casualties in 12 hours. The 101st, 1,100. Many are friendly fire from naval guns overshooting the beaches. Others drown in the marshes, weighed down by gear. Some are executed by SS troops who take no prisoners. Private First Class John Fitzgerald, 502nd PIR, finds a German soldier, barely 16, in a ditch. The boy offers a loaf of bread. Fitzgerald takes it, gives him a cigarette. He says, "Go home." The boy runs. Fitzgerald never sees him again. As evening falls, the paratroopers dig in. Foxholes in apple, machine gun nests, churchyards, snipers in haylofts. They eat cold share cigarettes, write letters they may never mail. General James Gavin, limping from tree to tree, visits every position. You did what armies do in weeks, in hours. At Lee's, Private John Steele is finally cut down from the church steeple. He has 2 bullet holes in his chute, one in his foot. The townspeople cheer. A little girl gives him a flower. He tucks it in his helmet. But the night brings no peace. At 2100, German artillery opens up. Nebel screaming memes rain on the causeways. The sky lights up like the 4th of July. Captain Clyde Russell, 505th PIR, watches from a rooftop. It was beautiful and terrible, like God was angry. The 101st prepares to march on Carentan. The 82nd braces for the Battle of La Fière, 3 days of hell that will cost 500 more lives for 120 feet of bridge. Rommel arrives at the front at midnight. He sees the chaos, the lost bridges, the open causeways. War was lost on the first day. He's aid. He is wrong, but not by much. By midnight, June 6th, the paratroopers have done the impossible. 4 causeways open, 7 bridges seized or destroyed, 1 town liberated, 30,000 German troops paralyzed, and the door to Fortress Europe kicked off its hinges. They started 1,100 men falling from the sky. They end the day as 10,000, scattered, battered, unbreakable. Lieutenant Murphy, the pathfinder with the broken leg, is carried to the station on a barn door. He looks at the stars. We came in pieces, but we held together. D-Day is not over. It has only begun. The hedgerows wait. The panzers wait. The road to Berlin is 700 miles long, and it starts here, in the mud of Normandy, with boys who jumped into darkness and found dawn on the other side. Their story doesn't end with the beaches. It ends in places like Carentan, Grains, the Falaise Pocket, where the airborne will fight, bleed, and win again. But that is a tale for another night. For now, let the record show. On June 6, 1944, before the first tank rolled off a landing craft, before the first flag was raised on a beach, the paratroopers seized the bridges. They held the line, and they gave the world a fighting chance. June 7th, dawn over Normandy is the color of old blood. The smoke from 1,000 hangs like a shroud. In the orchards, the apple blossoms are gone, replaced by the stink of cordite, diesel, and the sweet rot of the dead. The paratroopers who fell from the sky 24 hours ago are no longer boys. They are veterans now, scarred, hollow-eyed, but alive, and still fighting. The bridges are held, the causeways are open, the beachhead breathes, but the war is far from won. Now, angry, organized, and rolling west with everything it has. Field Marshal Rommel stands on a hill, binoculars in hand, watching American columns snake inland. They came in the night, he mutters, like ghosts, and now they're here to stay. He is right, know it. Let's begin where the real battle for Normandy truly ignites. Carentan, the town's on a knot of roads and canals, 10 miles south of a beach. If the Americans take it, the Utah and Omaha beachheads merge into one continuous front. If the Germans hold it, the invasion stalls. General Maxwell Taylor of the 101st has no choice. Carentan or bust, he tells his staff. They have 3,000 men left, half their strength. No tanks, no heavy guns, just rifles, grenades, and the will to keep moving. The attack begins at 0500 on June 10th. Colonel Robert Cole, the bayonet charge legend, leads 3rd Battalion 502nd PIR down the main road from the north. Colonel Robert Strayer, 506th PIR, comes from the west. The Germans, Fallschirmjäger Regiment 6, under Colonel Friedrich von der Heide, dig in with machine guns in church steeples, snipers in attics, and 88s in the railway station. The fighting is house to house, room to room. Private First Class Joe 506th kicks in a door and follows it with his Thompson. A German paratroopers with a bayonet. Toy shoots, keeps moving. It wasn't war, he later said. It was murder with rules. By noon on, the Americans reach the T-junction in the center of town. Captain Frank Lilleman lights are in the rubble. We own this place now, he says. but the Germans counterattack at dusk. Panzers rumble through the streets. Sergeant Harrison Summers, the West Virginia brawler, grabs a bazooka, climbs a half-track, and knocks out their fours in 10 minutes. He is hit 3 times, keeps firing. The counterattack breaks. 0600 on the cost, 1,200 American casualties, 2,000 German. The town is a ruin, but the road is open. North of the Merderet, the 82nd Airborne is still locked in the Battle of La Fière. 3 days of unrelenting foot bridge. Major General James Gavin the manor into a fortress. The Germans attack at dawn, noon, and dusk. Wave after wave. Stugs, grenadiers, flamethrowers. The Americans answer with bazookas, captured MG-42s, and to die. On June 9th, John Dolan, 505th PIR, leads a charge across the causeway with 44 men. They reach the far bank, dig in, and hold against 600 Germans for 6 hours. Dolan is shot in the face, keeps commanding. His men call it Dolan's Charge. The bridge holds. By June 10th, the 2nd has lost 1,500 men, but the Merderet is crossed. The Germans are pushed back to the west. The peninsula is cut. The stories don't end with the big battles. They live in the small ones. Private Ken Russell, the cricket clicker, finds a French family hiding in a cellar near Sainte-Marie-Église. The father offers him wine. The daughter, 12 years old, gives him a kiss on the cheek. "You are angels," Russell laughs. Angels don't say this much. Private John Steele, the man who hung from the church steeple, returns to the town in 1964. The townspeople name a street after him. He cries in the square where he once played dead. General James Gavin walks the battlefields years later. He finds a rusted helmet in a hedgerow, turns it over, sees the name De Gloper scratched inside. He stands there for a long time. The numbers are staggering. 1,100 Paratroopers jumped on D-Day. 2,500 were killed or missing by June 7th. 40% of equipment lost in the drop. 100% of objectives achieved. They seized 4 causeways, 7 bridges, 1 town, and the initiative. They delayed Panzer Group West by crucial hours, the SS Panzer Division by 3 days, Rommel's counterattack until it was too late. The legacy is not just in the ground taken. It's in the men who took it. Captain Frank Lohr with a Silver Star and a limp. He dies in 1972, cigar in hand. Colonel Robert Cole is killed by a sniper in Holland, September 1944. Medal of Honor awarded posthumously. General Maxwell Taylor becomes chairman of the Joint Chiefs, never forgets the boys who jumped first. General James Gavin writes in his memoir, "They were the best damn soldiers I ever saw, and I saw them at their best, scared, lost, and still winning." Years later, historians will argue about tanks, tides, and weather, but the paratroopers know the truth. D-Day was won in the dark, before the first shell hit the beach, before the first flag was raised. It was won by men who fell from the sky, a chute, a rifle, and a promise. They kept that promise. This is their story. Not of generals or presidents, but of paratroopers, of the 82nd, of the 101st, of the 13,100 who fell from the sky and lifted the world. For them, the war began with a jump. For us, freedom began with their landing. Lest we forget.